Think of cloud security, and the first thing that probably springs to mind is the data center. How do I know that no one can gain access to my data when it's hosted off-site in a multi-tenant data center? Should I encrypt my data? Can I audit my cloud-based service to prove compliance to the appropriate authorities? Many may not even consider secure access to the cloud as an integral part of a cloud security solution. But it's an essential component, since you can compromise your cloud service the moment something unsecured or infected is allowed access. The whole concept of access has changed dramatically within the last 5 years. The consumerization of IT has led to massive adoption of employee-owned devices on the corporate network. Not just laptops, but smartphones and tablets. Forrester state that 1/4 of employees use smartphones that are not corporate standard or managed, and that by 2013, more than 1/3 of the world's workforce will be mobile workers. So today, I'm going to focus specifically on secure mobile access. Now, on the surface, it sounds like a CIO's nightmare. Thousands of unmanaged and potentially infected devices, multiple operating systems, many probably running older software which may be highly vulnerable to attacks. They're not necessarily on the corporate network, they may be connected via the internet. And worst of all, what happens to sensitive corporate data when that smartphone or tablet is left in a taxi or is stolen? It's a fact that more than half of all mobile users don't even lock their devices. Now, ironically, despite all of that, security is in many ways easier to enforce on mobile devices than on unmanaged laptops connected to wireline Ethernet ports in an office. Let's go through a typical scenario of a user wanting to use his personal smartphone to connect to the corporate network. Generally, enterprises insist upon VPN-based access into the corporate network. So the first thing a user is going to do is download a client from some kind of app store. The good thing about this is that you can bundle a wealth of security features into that client. Before the device even connects to the network, we can start to protect it against viruses, malware, and spam. The user may then attempt to access the corporate network by setting up a VPN connection, which means 3 things. Firstly, only authorized devices are allowed to access the network. Now, this means devices that are compliant with the enterprise security policy. Ideally, we want to enforce an endpoint to upgrade to a compliant version of the operating system and certain software before authorizing this device. Secondly, we want an authenticated and validated user. And thirdly, we want the user's data to be encrypted across this insecure environment to ensure complete privacy. When we run a VPN, we need a gateway in the data center to terminate these tunnels. And in a virtualized data center, where we may be supporting multiple customers, we need an SSL gateway solution that gives us the flexibility of having either a virtualized appliance or maybe even a software solution, so that we can run multiple instances of the SSL gateway, one per customer, on a single standard server. Now imagine I'm a user gaining access to corporate resource via an SSL tunnel. What if my enterprise is leveraging a hybrid cloud? In other words, the application I am accessing is now being served from a public cloud, not from the corporate network. Or what if the application I need to access is now Salesforce.com? Do I have to authenticate and authorize every single time? There are fortunately standards around global single sign-on, which extends enterprise identity to the cloud and enables seamless access to multiple cloud services. Now, this all provides a good and solid level of protection. But what happens when a user loses his phone? This phone may now have sensitive corporate data on it. So we need to be able to locate it via GPS, remotely lock it if it isn't already, and most importantly, we want to be able to wipe the device of that sensitive data. Last but not least, It's essential in a mobile environment where we may have hundreds or thousands of end users, each potentially with multiple devices, that such a solution is incredibly simple to install, manage, and maintain. So what we need is an integrated client. In other words, a single application that works with many operating systems that can be easily downloaded from, say, the Apple App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market. Once downloaded and installed, it needs to be simple to configure, and it needs the minimum of ongoing maintenance. Junos Pulse fulfills all of this functionality within a single, easy-to-install client in conjunction with the market-leading secure access gateway that sits within the data center or cloud. Not only does this solve a critical problem for many enterprises, but also for service providers wanting to differentiate their cloud services and sell hybrid cloud and software as a service. Junos Pulse is the essential security solution for secure mobile access to the cloud. Be secure, be safe.